Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. I've been using these guys for a lot of years. They've been in the business for a lot of years, since 1971 specifically. And they will travel to your home all over East Tennessee. You just get in touch with them and see if you're in range. I guarantee you are. Southeast Termite and Pest Control, they do great work for me. They'll do great work for you. And boy, they can take care of your home. So many different treatments and so many different products. It'll make your head spin. But it's easy when you work with Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right, let's take a look at Tennessee's tournament outlook very quickly. Joe Lunardi has Tennessee as a #1 seed in his bracketology report, and that was before the win over Texas yesterday. You see the rest of their 10 games remaining in the regular season. They got a lot of big games coming up against teams. That number in orange is where Lunardi has them bracketed in his projections. You got Auburn, you got Missouri, you got that big midweek game with Alabama coming up. Alabama who lost yesterday. Kentucky again up there. Arkansas and Auburn on the road to end the season. It's going to be tough. But two ESPN analysts had comments this week that I wanted to run by Mark Pancratz. The first one is from Seth Greenberg, speaking specifically about Tennessee yesterday. When you look at this Tennessee team, they can beat you in transition. They beat you in half court. They beat you with their defense. They beat you with their depth. Most importantly, you look at the DNA of teams that win championships, they have maturity. And this team is a mature, experienced team. Okay, good enough. Jay Billis, earlier in the week, though, had this comment. I can't remember a bad defensive team that's won a championship, but I also can't remember an average offensive team winning it either. If you go down through the stats and analytics of champions, usually they're in the top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency. Mark Pancratz, right now, Tennessee is on pace to have the highest adjusted defensive efficiency rating since Ken Palm's been doing it in 2001, and all the basketball gurus look at Ken Palm. It's a historic level defense as they're playing it right now. They're only number 40 in adjusted offense. Which of those two statements do you think rings more true about Tennessee this year?
I think it's what Jay Billis said. I think our offense has to show consistency in primarily in Olivier Nkamhoua and getting inside presence. I think our offense, the guards have shown up, and I throw Josiah in there as being a guard. We've got consistent performances there. But our inside guys got to be able to get just double digits. It don't have to be a 27-point performance like we saw last night, but they got to be able to show up and provide some offensive firepower down low.
When you look at this team, it is awfully early. I mean, we've seen these. We know, you know, college basketball. You played it, you coached it, you've watched it. Teams win 5 in a row, then they lose 5 in a row. How confident are you right now that this Tennessee team keeps rolling the way it is right now for the last 10 games?
And the way it is right now, it'd be hard to say that they're going to end up being the best defensive team ever.
Yeah.
I mean, really ever since Kemp.
The last 20 years.
So I think they'll pull it down. I don't think Zakai can play much better. And that schedule, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, even you look at Missouri wins another. It's tough. And so I think they'll come back a little bit, but coming back is not a bad thing. If they can just stay fresh, stay healthy, that's going to be the best way for this team to perform down the stretch.
And if you get a big lead and you're up by 20 or 30 over Georgia, say, take your starters out.
Yeah,
give them a breather.
I don't get the pushback I got for that one because, I mean, we got to find ways to get guys breaks. And if we're up 20 points with 2.5 minutes left, with our depth that we have, we got to be able to get those guys.
Well, how many years have we talked about this? We've looked at it from the numbers that Rick Barnes typically puts on his players, which is a lot. You've got a former NBA guy talking to you about the fact that he wears them down because he practices hard. Chuck Cavaleris has said that on our show forever. You look at it with the guys playing late. It's a lot of ways of saying the same thing, which is you don't want to wear these guys out before you get to March because something seems to always go wrong in March. Instead of people blowing back at you for something you put on Twitter, maybe they should listen. Mark Pancratz, I'm always listening. You're always welcome to correct me as you did over there earlier. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. When we come back on the Sports Source, what are we doing? Yes, Danny White and Josh Heupel. They're going to be doing what they're going to be doing is spending money. They got lots of money. So let's talk to a couple of different guys that we're going to bring in about those raises. We're going to cover all that. We got a lot of football to come the rest of the way. Come on back on the Sports Source.